And welcome to another exciting episode that is the In-Game Boss Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your In-Game Boss, a.k.a. your Retro Activist, a.k.a. your new Spring Breaker for all games. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that at all. I can't represent video games like that, But apparently someone at work asked me, like, how was your spring break, Jeremy? I'm like, I don't even remember the last time I had a spring break, man. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But with me, of course, joining me on this voyage is Mr. Jaron.
AKA the Evil of Aku, AKA the grumpiest of bears, AKA I got my first vaccine shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As soon as I have all my shots. Oh, AKA Magic Nachos appearing.
Okay.
So as soon as I have all my shots, you won't be able to get rid of me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
I wish I had the ability to have Magic Nachos come in my hands.
Well,
just throw them at me. Just throw them at me. I'll use editing to make it. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'll throw the chip.
That's terrible.
That's
terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll throw the chip at you.
No, this is, as you know, this is Oklahoma's #1 video game podcast for video games. And I want to thank everybody for listening, and I thank you for everybody for watching us. So we hope we give you a great show. Because we're going to talk about something about change. So this is supposed to be a fun, goofy show, of course, but we want to talk about change. Us as gamers, and hopefully you will join us on this voyage, and maybe talk about yourself and your aging as gamers. Now, this is more towards people around our age. So if you were born around like in the 80s to now, this is going to be a huge change. If you're a youngster, you got a long road ahead of you. So
if your first Final Fantasy was 12, you got a ways ahead of you. Or no, if your first Final Fantasy was 13, not for you.
If PS3 was your first console, you're going to sit back for a while. Okay. So but everybody else, if you're a retro gamer, you've been playing games ever since you're young, hopefully, you will understand the voyage we going through and everything like that. But first, we're going to get in some quick news. Let's go ahead and talk about something that is aging, and rumor has it that it might be closing down, and that is the PSN store. That is the Vita and the PS3. Jaron, how did this get started?
So it is still a rumor. As of this morning, I have heard neither confirmation nor denial from Sony, but insiders say that around July, the PlayStation Network store for PS3, PSP, and Vita will be closing down, as in they're shuttering the marketplace. And I mean, you've already seen changes as of last year. They did the redesign on the PlayStation Store on the web page. You can't buy PS3 and Vita games there through the normal way. There's a link. You can get to the store a different way, but that's neither here nor there. The standard way, you can't buy games anymore. So now it seems like they're just slowly pushing all that out. Now, here's the thing. Because it's still kind of a rumor, there's no details on what this store closing will entail. We don't know if that means you won't be able to download any of the games you already purchased. We don't know if that means, if you've already purchased them, you can re-download them in case you have to wipe your drive or anything like that. So since that rumor is broke, there's been a rush of people just either buying up whatever digital games that they can, hard to find, expensive if it's physical type of games, this person included. And of course, there's also been the faction of people waving their "that's why you get physical" banners left and right. Now, don't get me wrong, I love physical, but this is not the time. Physical has its place. Yeah, physical has its place, and not everybody has the ducats to do physical. I'm not spending $50 on Tomba. I'll spend $5. I'm not spending $200 on Suikoden 2. I'll spend $8.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Because it's almost feeling like, by the end of this month, we're going to see where, as they're calling it, Mario's Murder Day, where all the Mario games are, slowly disappearing. So it'll be interesting to see in July if it actually comes to fruition that these games are disappearing. They're closing down the store, which, not a terrible tactic or not, it works every single time as a scare, a fear of like, we need to go buy this now. It's almost like a conscience telling you this. Is like, hey man, I know you haven't been on there a while, but don't forget, these games ain't gonna come around anymore, so you better grab some while you can. And so, and I'm a sucker for that. Sadly enough, my PS3 doesn't know how to link to the store because I can't find my Wi-Fi for my PS3 does not work for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why. Ouch. But all the games I have bought have been downloaded already.
Okay.
So it's not like I have to go and re-download anything. But I do want to buy some other PS games. Like, I want to get Mega Man Legend 2. I don't have that one. I would like to go get that. But I have my Suikoden 1 and 2. And I have my Shin Megami Tensei games, from the Personas to the Devil Sagas or whatever. Digital Devil Saga.
Digital Devil Saga, yeah.
Yeah, so, I got some of those. But there's still some nick and crannies in there that never got crossed over to the PS4 that I want to grab as soon as I can. So I might have to play with my PS3 a little bit more and see if I can find it. But every time I try to find a source, my Wi-Fi thing doesn't pop up as like, my Netgear or whatever the device. It doesn't tell you anything. So it's been a little tough for them.
Does wired still work? Like if you just lug your PS3 in?
I might have to try the wire. I might have to actually do that. It's been so long since I've done wire. So I'll have to probably find an Ethernet and get that going.
I'll send you a link so you can do your PSN shopping on your computer. That will go a lot faster than navigating it on the PS3. Every time I navigate the store on the PS3, I just want to put my head through the wall. It's so slow.
It is slow as hell. It is.
Yeah. PS4 is not that much faster, but PS3 is slow as all get out. So I'll get you the link, and you can do a lot of the perusing there. I ended up dropping like $40 and grabbing a whole bunch of games, the Legacy of Kain games, Tomba 1 and 2, because Brandy used to play them. We played it, and I was like, this is a really cute game. I'm glad I didn't spend $50 on it. But this is really
the dangerous ones this happens with a lot of consoles, and it sucks because those are the ones that are more rare. See, the PlayStation 1 games, they are rare in their own way, but chances are you can find those. But there's some special editions of certain games that got redone that are stuck on there. For instance, Beyond Good and Evil. There's an HD edition that is on the console that can work with the controller. I don't think it works on Steam, but on the controller. I have that one. But that was probably going to disappear unless later on that gets repolished and brought back when Beyond Good and Evil 2 might come out. There's a possibility with that.
They'll do a re-release.
Yeah, kind of like the Scott Pilgrim, right? Scott Pilgrim was disappeared for a while because of the copyright and it disappeared, but that was locked on the other console. You're not going to cross over. That's the same thing with Marvel's.
It was gone for years.
Just like Marvel's Capcom. The first one and the second one. You can't get those anymore, due to the licensing and all this stuff. It's gone, So what I'm getting at is not so much those, but just games like that are stuck on the PS3 that they never got a physical copy of that you'll never, ever get. So those are the ones you kind of have to go back in and kind of keep an eye out which ones you really care about. And so
agreed. I'm still salty. I missed my chance to get The Simpsons by
and
Konami.
The X-Men.
Yeah, I have X-Men on the Xbox Live, but that too. Like when Konami briefly released some of their arcade games, I wasn't in the know like I am now, and I missed out on The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons arcade game.
And sadly enough, I know these games are not people's favorites. And actually, a lot of people say they're terrible. Even Jaron, you said these games are terrible, but they are gone, and you never get them back. But that's the Team of Ninja Turtles, the Out of the Shadows, and the Reshell. Those are gone now. You can't. They're disappeared. You can't get those anymore. So,
and that's the part where I will tend to agree with a lot of the chest beating pro physical guys. It's like those things that you enjoy. If they're locked, you can't get them anymore. You don't have the option. That sucks. Scott Pilgrim being gone for so long, a lot of people never got the chance to play it. It sucks. It's great it's back now, and I understand one physical, but it's a weird nuance. It's like you want digital because I don't like lugging a whole library around everywhere, but at the same time, you don't want that stuff yanked out from under you.
I treat hard drives like houses where it's a double-edged sword both ways because like you only have so much room on your hard drive to have all this stuff that you're afraid that you can't re-download. So you have to make room somewhere. Like, what do I have to sacrifice that I can get another edition of that somewhere, right? Like, for instance, like you have the remasters of the Mass Effect games coming out. Should I delete my Mass Effects now that finally came to the PS3, like the first one? You know? Like, do I delete those 3 games now because these remasters are taking over? I don't know.
Yeah. You got the DLC for them?
Say what?
You got the DLC for them? Because the remasters having all the DLC or almost all of it with it. So.
Well, regardless, though, like, yes, I do have all the DLC stuff for that. Yeah, but regardless, though, because you can buy the physicals of those anyways in a trilogy pack, and they have all DLC in there too. So it doesn't matter. The only challenging part is the physicals are going to be maybe a little harder to find due to it's right here, right? But then the other side of owning physical is just, you know, takes too much room in your home, you know? So they're a double-edged sword both ways. So the question is, what's more tougher to you? And to me, physical, at least, you know, you got a house is bigger, but hard drive, you know, they never give you enough. And then sometimes they don't compress these games enough to do that. The PlayStation games are easy. The PS1s, the old retro games, you can get like a lot of those. But my Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, man, that's about, you can give or take about almost about 30 gigs. You know? At least, you know, it takes a lot. Even these remasters games that are coming out that they had to polish up, you know, they're going to all add up. And, you know, it's easier to add up all these retro games than these new remastered collection games and whatnot. So it's a tough call. You have to make a decision of that, since you're not going to be able to probably re-download these games again. So that's something I'm going to have to sit with. Do I want to keep these Mass Effects games or not? You know, maybe I have to buy the new Mass Effect and see if this is a good game enough where I can just get rid of the other ones and not look back.
Something that I've found that I've been prioritizing, especially in grabbing stuff off the store, RPGs. I'm prioritizing that first.
I need to get Legend of Dragoon. I don't think I have that one.
So yeah, that's on there. Any RPG that may be hard to find or expensive, grab it. You know, I grabbed the Suikoden 1, 2, and 3. Well, 3's on PS2, but still, even then, you know, anything from Atlas, if you're into it, you know, like you were saying, Nocturne, Digital Devil Saga, all of that. Anything from Atlas, anything from Capcom that's an RPG, anything from Square.
You see, that's the weird part, right? Like Nocturne, right? Here's the weird thing. Nocturne, it depends what you want. Are you fine with Nocturne not being HD? Because here, another double-edged sword that pisses me off, right? Because like Nocturne, you're getting everything on the PS2, but the HD one, all your other bonus stuff is separate in DLC, so they're trying to cheat you, right? Like in the, you know, with the whole Devil May Cry Dante, yeah, that's on the PS2 one, but now you get the HD one, you're gonna have to pay extra to get them. It's kind of sucky. It's kind of sucky. So you have to decide, like, is it worth getting that, you know, or even like Persona 3. You know, you're getting that the definitive edition on that one, or if you have the PSP one, that's supposed to be superior to that one. But 4,
that's true.
But now you have 4, but now 4 is only on Steam. The golden years that was stuck on Vita, now it's on Steam. How come they're not coming out for the other console? It's so weird. Yeah. It's so weird right now. It's so weird. So you have to debate.
Lunar. Silver Star Harmony, the PSP game. You can get that on PSN Store. Apparently, if you want to ever compare that with Silver Star Story Complete. Same thing with Third Parasite Eve game. Mm-hmm. You know, it's what do you know, is it 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, or is it, you know, Final Fantasy IV Complete? You know, the complete, all the extra stories and stuff. There's so much out there, and that, like you were saying, you're not going to be able to get it all, so you have to prioritize.
You know the saddest thing that never hit PSN, and I would have bought all 3 of them in a heartbeat just so I can just have them, because those are the ones that are going to be hard. I have the first one and the third one physically, so I'm good. But I would like to have them digitally too, and that's the Xenosaga series.
Yes.
And they just never got a chance to come out on the PlayStation Store. Because, you know, the first one was the greatest hit, but 2 was not good, and 3 is better than the second one, but it's hard to find. Like, you're sitting almost like, I have it, and it's sitting on about $120 probably right now, Just that
Oh
one?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have it complete, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complete in box,
Yeah.
not mint, but yeah, complete in box. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. So give or take, it's that those games never got a digital version.
Yeah.
Because that'd be awesome. For better, for worse, how much
agree.
my thing's gonna be worth, but still, just have 3 of those, that'd be awesome. You know?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And this is all part of Sony's strategy. Sony's strategy, hypothesizing here, that they are pushing more people towards their PS Now. Because you have a lot of PS1 and PS2 and PS3 games on PS Now that you can stream or download while you're still a member. And apparently PS Now is pretty okay now.
Yeah,
but they're trying to push people towards it.
I'm not a big fan of the rental idea, right? You're really just renting.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah,
it's digital.
According to a lot of people, if you go digital, even if you buy something digitally, you're still renting it as long as the servers are up. So,
it depends on the game. It depends on the game, right? Not the free games, of course, but like, for the multiplayer, I understand. But if I bought Final Fantasy VII on there, I don't think I need online to play that game by itself. I think that's more of like the games that they like somehow is connected to online where it changes your game up or something like that. But those straight offline, you could play this game offline. I think those would be fine.
True. Well, that's the thing. Now, this is where all the tinfoil hat people are coming out of the woodwork. They're saying, oh, well, if you have to replace your CMOS battery or whatever in your PS3 because it'll die one day, you'll lose your downloads, you have to redo it, and you can't access your games on your console anymore. You have to re-download them. And then the servers are shut down, and then they're gone forever. And it's like, oh, no. It's a lot of hearsay.
I guess for my reply to that is I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Exactly. And as much as I am not advocating for it openly, but there's a reason there are a lot of people who emulate, Mm-hmm. And obviously if digital does not bother you, then if you have to, emulation probably wouldn't either.
Yeah. But you're on your own to do that.
Yeah.
So that's your own risk.
That's your own ship.
Yeah. So with that being said, though, it's the whole better safe be sorry, because you hear the rumor, better safe than sorry. Go ahead and do what you need to do. And then, at least if it's not true, at least you got it out of the way that you feel like I got what I wanted out of this. So if it closed down, I'm done. I already left a long time ago. So that's my advice, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Big ups to Microsoft, though. I will say this. Xbox 360, that's already 2 generations ago. I can still hop on Xbox 360 and go to my purchased items and find like games and download them. Yeah. Pull them down. So I will give big ups to Microsoft. Thank you for leaving those servers up. And it's all part of them pulling their stuff up to the next gen and then the gen after that. Mm-hmm. So I will say this. Microsoft is all of that. I was this close to buying an Xbox Series X today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because they're in stock. They were in stock at Best Buy. They're in stock at Walmart. I was like, ooh, nope. There's not a killer must-own game on there yet. So
okay.
I'm holding off.
So let's get our last piece of news, and I'm going to let Jaron bring this up in a new segment that we both created.
All right. Ding, ding. All right. We all know that there's been long-held animosity between the Sony fanboys and the Microsoft fanboys, and they're cheering on their favorite combatants. Now, Sony just made a strikeout at Microsoft with buying Evo. Evo, the fighting game. Yes. The Evo fighting game tournament. Sony is trying to make Evo the home of Sony games. For $5 million, it's like taking a chair to the back of Microsoft. By God.
And how do you think they're going to deal with that? The question is, are they going to be in full control of who's invited and who's not? Or they're going to just step back and let Evo be Evo and they just kind of collect the money? What is your thoughts on that, since you are more in the fighting community than I am? Shout out to Ricky O'Meal. So,
yes. Oh my goodness. Well, Sony knows that if they have the reins to Evo, they have the reins to the biggest, most well-known fighting game tournament in the world. So big, it has a Japanese counterpart that's still called Evo Japan. So that means Sony owns Evo and Evo Japan. That means potentially bigger jackpot bonuses for fighting game fans. But what will they play? I mean, Sony has said they're claiming, and those deceptive snakes. Sony's claiming that they're going to let Killer Instinct, which is a Microsoft property, remain in their tournament. And they're going to let Smash Brothers once they get back to in-person tournaments. But this year, oh boy, Sony's climbing that ladder, and they're going to stay online for EVO this year. They're going to do online only. And we all know Smash Brothers is an absolute slobber knocker mess when it comes to online. It is a hot mess. Hot garbage, Jeremy.
Oh, my goodness.
What will happen? What will happen when Sony takes EVO online this August?
But wait a minute. Now, my question is for that is, it's fine if that's the way, but the question is, does Microsoft and Nintendo want to join back in EVO because of that news, or somehow create their own community of fighting game stuff? Now, Microsoft don't have a lot of fighting. I don't know how big the Killer Instinct family is, but Smash Brothers is strong enough to do their own thing.
Yes,
do you think Nintendo will do that, or will they go back to EVO?
Killer Instinct is always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's never held the title. It's never held the greatest. But it is Microsoft's one and only. And Microsoft will put it wherever they can. Okay. Microsoft does not have the energy, the stroke to go start their own tournament. No. You stay where the eyes are. You stay where the money is. They're going to be staying in EVO if they can. Nintendo is, how can I say it? Nintendo is that dark horse that doesn't even care they're in the race. Nintendo just wants to be Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't even acknowledge their game as a fighting game type game. It is just a game that they will send out cease and desist if you play it the way they don't want you to play it. So whatever happens to Smash Brothers, Nintendo is going to be sitting pretty either way. They know people are going to be sitting in their seats and playing their game. Nintendo is a big shrug.
I'm liking the Martin Luther King vibe, too, in the voice and everything.
By God!
My God! Can I get an amen? Amen! Thank you, brother. Thank you. The whole preacher-like thing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how... Actually, we need to know how EVO is going to be this year and what games are going to be on there, you know? Like Guilty Gear's coming up.
Yeah, Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah. So is that going to make it in time for the party? Because it got delayed to June. So is it going to make it to the party? What about DBZ? What fighting games are going to make it on this list? Because last year it was supposed to be a celebration of Capcom versus Marvel's Capcom 2. That was supposed to be an anniversary. They were supposed to have a slot somewhere, and that didn't work out. What's going to happen? Oh, and what about King of Fighters?
Tekken. King of Fighters. Yes.
It is going to be an interesting year. So my final question for you is, what games do you think is going to likely be in there regardless?
Oh, those who choose to join the EVO faction. Oh, my goodness. They are going to be angling for some numbers. We already know you're going to have the classics. You're going to have the blue chippers like Tekken. You're going to have Soul Calibur. You're going to have DBZ because it's got the numbers. You will not have Smash Brothers because this is all online. And netcode is king. Netcode is the king of kings. Okay. The king maker. So, Guilty Gear Strive had a demo. It's got critical acclaim. It's got a ton of streamers. But will it make it in time since it's being pushed back to June? Time only tells. It might be a last-minute run-in. So, Guilty Gear Strive, who knows? Marvel vs. Capcom, anything. They could bring it back if there's a way to play it online, but it is unlikely. Street Fighter V, the one that a lot of people are wondering, why is it still Street Fighter V? That will be at EVO.
Okay.
So, it is too close to tell.
And if I can say Marvel vs. Capcom, I don't think Infinity's on that list. It will probably be something from 2 or 3.
Infinite isn't even a has-been. Infinite is a never was.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I would love for Capcom SNK to come back in some shape or form, but they are the black sheep.
That is possible. That is possible.
So
but it does come down to netcode. If your netcode is trash, you're not getting in the door.
All right.
But Microsoft, they're not completely down and out. Now, they may be on their stomach, Sony climbing up that ladder, but Microsoft still got an ace up its sleeve. It's got an insurance policy. They are in the process of buying Discord for $10 billion with a B billion.
More like talk. I would say the safety word, they're in talk. So hopefully it might be that. But I just want to say that just to be safe. Go on.
True, it is talk. But when Microsoft eyes you, Microsoft gets you 9 times out of 10. And we all know what happened with Mixer.
They got too much money, man.
Yeah, Microsoft threw money at Mixer, and Mixer's gone. They had to pay out all those contracts for those exclusive streamers. Mixer's
Congrats
gone.
to the richest people for free. Good for y'all. Good timing on y'all. I can't even hate.
Yes. Yeah, multi-million-dollar contracts paid out. They could just sit at home. It's a shame. But Microsoft, they're in talks about Discord. But do you know what this means if Discord joins the Microsoft stable? That means you have potential Xbox network integration. You have Microsoft on the computer. You have Discord integration with that. You have video, you have sound, you have server chat rooms, you have a huge audience you can extend your reach into.
They never care to make an app at all for consoles to use Discord, right? Or no, this is not possible.
There's a Discord app of sorts that I believe was on the Xbox One.
Okay. But
it didn't really get that popularity. If people are using Discord, they're using it on the computer.
Okay. Well, I guess my question is what do they get the benefit of other than 100 million people on that thing? Like, what is that purpose? Is it just more of just to own it? Or are they planning to use it for some shape or form connected to Xbox Live or Game Pass or whatever they want to do with it? Or they're just going to be buying it and just leave it alone and just get the money? Because there is a subscription, too, for premium for Discord also.
True. Discord Nitro. If you want to support, anybody can start their own servers on Discord. But if you want to support and get additional features, additional emojis, additional oomph behind your server performance, you go with Discord Nitro. Okay. Now, Discord did try their own, games as a service, download games if you're a member of Nitro, and that did not work. So if Microsoft acquires Discord, that means they could throw Skype in the trash. That means they're not going to throw away their Microsoft Teams on computers for workplaces, but they might integrate some of Discord's features or even make it cross-compatible. Or they may not, because Microsoft is also very good about just leaving well enough alone. They own it. They're just going to leave it alone. Think about how many Microsoft products are on Apple computers because of Office. Mm-hmm. So they may well leave well enough alone. But Discord, anybody who has Discord is in some form or fashion a gamer. And so Microsoft is leveraging every option they have to make themselves the de facto home for hardcore gamers.
It's gonna be interesting what they do with it and whatnot. I feel like that it might just be indifferent. I think they just have it just to have it, and I think people are just not going to notice unless they're in conversation of like, oh, why not? Yes. But $10 billion is nice. Makes you feel like I wish I made an app. You know what I mean?
As we say in the IT industry, the real money's in the software, not the hardware. Money's always in the software and the support for the software. But Microsoft buying Discord, that means any chances of Nintendo having a proper option for proper voice chat or Sony having anything beyond their party is going to be like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. It's not going to have good chances.
At one point, I wonder if since Microsoft lost Mixer, have they ever tried to buy Twitch? You know what I mean?
They could not afford it. Amazon would not sell it to them.
Of course. I'm just saying, like, I wonder, because, money talks, right? I wonder where was the point where they had to stop? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, we'll give you this much. Okay, how about this much? Like, I wonder what is the number that stopped them at? Like, look, we're looking at $75 billion for the purchase of Bethesda. Would that gone higher for Twitch? You know what I mean? Would it go higher to you, or would it go lower where they would stop the bar? Like, you know what? Nope, we're not doing it.
Honestly, it's hard to tell. I think it would have been more likely that Microsoft would buy some shares, maybe not controlling shares, but enough that they share in the profit of Twitch. However, if Microsoft were to ever buy Twitch, I highly, highly recommend they clean house, wipe the slate, especially the upper management, wipe the slate clean with Twitch, start from scratch. Because Twitch is already catching so much hell from its users and other people for how they operate and how they administer their platform.
It's true. But at the same time, when you're the only best source, you're the king of the mountain, you're basically in control. Because until somebody comes and tries to help dethrone them, Mixer didn't work out, but until that happens, they can basically do whatever they want, and people are going to do it because it's the only source they have to stream. I mean, granted, you have YouTube, and you have Facebook.
Yes.
But they're not shouting as loud as Twitch, and I'm not hearing anything over there. You know,
correct. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. A very wise man once said, "Woo! To beat the man, you got to beat the man."
Yeah, and I guess the issue of that is, I'm not seeing Facebook and YouTube say anything to make it feel like you come over here because of A, B, and C. Here's a bonus for this. Here's a free game for this. They're not doing that, you know? Because YouTube, I feel like they're just more like, we have this feature. It's not our bread and butter, but we have the feature. And same thing with Facebook. We have the feature. It's not our bread and butter, but it's there if you want to use it. But Twitch, you know, that's their source. You know, like, so they got to be a new streaming place where it's just like Twitch, but they have to do something different. It's almost, they got to have an Epic to the Steam. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
So now we're considering Epic up there with Steam.
No, like, yeah, as rivals? Yeah, it's either, because what is Epic doing? Epic is costing more for developers, you know, put their game on there on revenue, and they're offering free games
every month.
Steam is at the point where their cards are not pushed yet enough to make deals like that. It's almost like Nintendo too. It's like, you're still buying Nintendo games, so we don't need to lower our price. And
exactly.
And I guess that's for Steam. Like, we don't have to do anything because we're not losing revenue. We're not losing as much. People are still coming in stride because people are so comfortable. I guess that's the word. People are too comfortable where they're at. They're not ready to make a change yet. So I put Epic up there because some people are going over there, and I feel like, but there's no one to go against Steam. Mixer was not powerful enough. And actually looking at Mixer, it's kind of bland. It's kind of boring over there. You know, you don't get to customize as much as Twitch. You know, you get the same layout as everybody else. You don't get to make it. You don't make your own page. You deal with the page they give you. If that makes sense.
Now, well, here's the thing. With Steam is so ubiquitous with PC gaming now. Whenever someone has a gaming PC, what's one of the first apps they download? Steam.
Yep.
You know, the Steam user base is huge. In fact, Steam is almost synonymous with PC gaming as Kleenex is with tissues.
Yeah. So,
you know, you have people referring to tissues as Kleenex.
Yeah. But at least Steam has some competition. You know, you have not just Epic, but you have GOG.
Yes, good old games.
Yeah.
CD Projekt's little project.
For better, for worse, at least they got two competition and other options for people to go. Yeah. There is no option than Twitch
Ubisoft
right now.
Connect. You have Origin, kind of. Yeah. Although EA is moving away from Origin and more to EA Access.
Sorry, let me rephrase it. They don't have a strong competition against Twitch. Facebook and YouTube right now are not strong enough to compete with them because they're not treated as their main bread and butter. They're just treated as an add-on. So until we find another source, an Epic or a Good Old Games Twitch-like, Twitches can do anything they want.
Yes. The only thing Facebook gaming and YouTube gaming have as an advantage is the ease of which to stream to it as opposed to Twitch. Facebook has a huge user base. Sorry to say, but it's a bigger user base than Twitch. They can get just a certain percentage of that to use Facebook gaming. They've already caught up with Twitch. YouTube, almost the same thing. I see Facebook gaming all the time, posting random people playing a game, and it looks like it's easy to get into. It's easy to get an audience, but that's about all they have. Twitch has the name recognition and the longevity.
Mm-hmm. And they've been doing it longer. Most of the people that've been there for a very long time, of course, are going to get, the credit until it's a slow race for YouTube and Facebook. Basically, it's going to take a couple years to be even acknowledged more in that way.
Twitch at this point, the only person who could defeat Twitch, or the only group who could defeat Twitch, is Twitch. Mm-hmm. Similar to, remember back in the day, Blockbuster. King of the mountain as far as video rentals. Only person who could beat Blockbuster was Blockbuster, and they did it. And then Netflix and other services came up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and sadly enough, that's a topic we'll have to talk about for just video games in general. Video game series that will just never come back down. Call of Duty is one of the ones to definitely talk about. That's a series will just never come back down. It's too comfortable. And no one will ever, so far, will take that reign from them.
Yeah, you always have your base number of people who will always buy Call of Duty every year. Good or bad, Infinite Warfare didn't do so well. Advanced Warfare didn't do so well. But still sold a bit.
But there were still options. That's the thing, right? They have 3 studios dedicated to keep rushing out every year. So it's always in your system. It's an expect, right? You expect it every year. Unlike other shooter games.
EA's Battlefield 5 came out, 3-4 years ago? And bungled all the way through. That should have been an easy win for Battlefield.
It should be, but at the same time, Activision really focus on what is their bread and butter and what their money is and focus on that. EA, of course, they have a bunch of things to juggle. So they don't concentrate on Battlefield only to be this every year game. So anyways, that's a different topic for another day.
Yes. EA sure has changed.
But with that being said, to end this, with the PlayStation Evo and the Microsoft buying Discord, it'll be interesting because they just been in this buying war ever since last year, starting with Insomniac Games.
Yes.
And it feels like now we're getting this ultimate battle since, 360 won 2 generations ago, PlayStation 1 last generation. Now it's mainly like put up or shut up. If we hear you buying something, we're gonna go buy something immediately because we want to be on par. We want to be on par with you. Meanwhile, Nintendo's like, we cool. We cool. We doing our own thing.
Nintendo doesn't as bad as it sounds. Nintendo doesn't really have to try.
No,
they're not. We all know they're not the platform for third-party games all left and right. They'll get them, but they don't have to try.
No, because they're too busy making money being a partner to both of those both of them. You get an Xbox, you're going to get a Nintendo with it. You get a PlayStation, you're going to get a Nintendo with it. They double whatever people get. Anyways,
exactly.
Let's get into our main segment. And with that, with so many generations of consoles that we have gone through since the beginning of time of video games, a lot of things has changed from here and then. And that's our topic today, is change. We're going to talk about not so much change in the industry, but more personal for us. And hopefully you can help connect that. You can always leave a comment down below if you're watching us on some of the topics we talk about. And if you're a listener, you can always leave a comment on Podbean and whatnot through the phone and all that. And of course you can reach us on Facebook and Twitter. But Jaron and I think, Jaron, you're a little bit older than me, I think. I was born in 1984. Yeah, okay. I was born in 1984.
So was I.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
I thought you were 82. I thought you were 82. I'm sorry.
Damn. Hey, this black's not cracking that much.
No. I thought I heard you say at one point because you had a lot more knowledgeable when it came to older games. So I just assumed you were older.
I just got thrown into that pool at an early age, and it's a long story of why. Okay. But I won't bore you with that. But yes, I am also 84.
Okay, so
actually, my birthday is in 2 weeks.
Okay, so you are about, give or take, about 5 months older than me, 5 or 6 months older than me. Okay, so born the same year, and we gone through the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, all the attachments that came with the PlayStation, to now, right? We have seen so many people that jump into the war, that lost the war, that left the war, new people come in. We've seen consoles come and go. As a gamer myself, it has been an interesting road of where our next purchase we're going to be. What side are we on when it came to rivals of like what team you are, like Team Nintendo, Team Sega, Team PlayStation, to physical to digital, CDs to cartridges to CD. I mean, think about it too, man. We were there when online started on consoles. Weirdly enough, we were there when the internet started.
Yeah,
weirdly enough,
tried to start it properly.
Yeah, we were there basically the dawn of advanced technology and how it changed for us. I envy my parents because they got to see more of the fashion in the music changing. There's a huge difference. That's why we say 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s music, because they're all so different. And our parents done that. I feel like we don't get that. We don't have our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s yet. I'm not feeling it. It all blends together very well for me.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
Give it 10 more years.
Yeah, I can't tell you what our 80s music's like. I couldn't tell you that. I couldn't tell you the difference, what it is, unless I have to sit back and really think about it. But regardless, technology is the one that stood out for our generation, right? That was the big change. Even phones, right? Like home phones, cell phones, and everything like that. Like technology is our generation. And then the new generation, it's going to be interesting what they're changing. Their minds are going to be, right?
They don't know life without the technology.
Yeah. So, but just strictly talking about games, we're not going to try to go over the place. So we're going to do a couple little categories, small categories to kind of get more structure of where we're at and everything. So the first thing I want to talk about is time. Time is very important for gaming. You got to make time, and that's basically it. You got to make time for the game. How long? I mean, it's true. You have to make time for the game, or how long you want to play a game, right? Like the time that you want to dedicate your time. I feel like that when we were younger, of course, you definitely had more time. You didn't have responsibilities.
Yeah.
And you were also very limited probably what games you played, so you had to dedicate your time to play that game until you complete it, or you couldn't get another one, or you had to dedicate the time that you had on a rental, how much you want to play with it. So I guess the question for us is, with time, what has changed for us back then to now us personally? Jaron, how about you go first? What has changed for you the time you were younger to now? What is the biggest change for you with time?
In the context of time, it is definitely a case of I have to prioritize what I really want to play. I have, if I'm being a normal, proper, productive adult, I have about maybe 2 hours a day to play a game, maybe. And so that means RPGs, I got to play those in quick bursts. And if I do, I have to make sure I remember exactly what the hell was happening, or everything breaks down. The same thing with my backlog. I have nothing left to prove to anyone, not even myself. I will play a game on story or easy if it gives me the full story, just to get through it, just to get the game done, experience the story, done. I'm very New Yorker. Time is money. If I can't get into you in 30 minutes, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm out. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. I've got to get in and out. That's why I love games like Streets of Rage 4. It's very in and out. You get in, you play, you're out.
I think it's interesting because back in that time, I was a gamer where when I got a game, I would dedicate myself because I bought this. I'm going to try my hardest to beat this game no matter what because I bought it. I feel like that is a contract with myself. Like, look, you dropped this much money for this. You need to play it and enjoy it for what it is. Also, too, I think it changed a little bit midway. Was more of I think a little. Actually, it's happening now. I guess you could say too. I tried to have it where I have a huge back catalog, but all at the same time, I want to dedicate myself. Like, I don't want to hop a next game until I feel like I completed what I wanted out of that last game because I don't want to jump too many games.
Finish your plate before getting.
Yeah, I don't want to jump too many things. But I think when I was younger, I felt like I want to play this game until the wheels fall off, and then I'll play something else. because I bought that game and everything like that. But now that has changed. Like you, is more of like, if I'm not enjoying this game, I need to move on because it's just not fun, or I feel like it's a chore, or like my time can be used trying out this other game now. So I'm kind of back into, getting into playing a little bit of everything, but at the same time, I'm still part of that. Like when it comes to RPG game, it's actually more genre now. Actually, I think about it. Like if it's RPG, one game at a time. I will not play 3 different RPG games. It's more like I took one RPG until I beat that one and I hop another one. And I have a pattern with my timing too, right? It's more like when I beat RPG game, then I want to play a couple small games before I get prepared for another epic game. So
palate cleanser.
Yeah. So I use my time for shorter games to get prepared for the big game. Like I haven't touched Final Fantasy VII and the remake and Persona 5. But when I play Final Fantasy VII, you know well enough that I'm going to play a lot of small games before I get prepared for another over 100-hour game dedicated to that. You know what I mean?
I remember you in Xenoblade Chronicles too.
For people that know, I put 200 hours in that game. But that was fun 200 hours for me personally. But that took a while to play. But after that, I took a big break from another RPG game until I was in the mood for it. So, time is very precious now, especially you have a job. Job takes a lot of your time and whatnot. I do not have a family, so I think my time would be definitely shorter if I had a family. When you have
interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, because I think when you get older too, you don't want the world to go by while you're playing games. That's why now I balance myself. I have this podcasting, my time has been used for more podcasting, doing more stuff, more active, hanging out with friends. I can't be a hermit anymore like that. Like I was younger. When I was younger, I don't want to say I was a total hermit, but if I had a game, I can totally not talk to anybody for a while until I feel like beat that game, and then I'll come out of my shell hey guys, let's hang out, let's do this. But now it's more of I think the issue a lot of people have is when they feel like they buy a game, they feel like they have to play it and do it instead of just going at their own pace. It's more like, I bought this game isn't going anywhere, so I'm going to play at my time and I'll beat it eventually. Unlike people that are like, no man, I got to beat this, I got to get this through this. And that can be a double-edged sword for me being hypocritical if I was a reviewer or someone that's entertaining somebody. I need to beat this game so I could tell people what it is. If it's a job, it's a different world. But for just a normal person buying a game, they're not going anywhere. So why do I want to just hurry up and rush this and play it day one? So, and that goes into our next thing, day one stuff. The biggest change for me is I'm not a day one person anymore. When I was younger, I was part of those groups that would do the overnight, buy that game immediately and go home and play it. I was the one.
Midnight release.
Yeah, because you always had that mentality of the next school talk, right? Where you play that game the next day of school, you want to be in the conversation. You don't want to be like, oh man, everybody's talking about it, I don't have that game yet. You want to be part of that conversation when you were younger. But now as you get older, it's more like, do I really need a day one? It ain't going nowhere. And at the same time, it'll be cheaper when I get it. I don't need to be the first one on the block anymore for it. I'm fine if people want to go ahead and talk about it and have fun with it and all that. But me, it's more like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And then if they still want to talk about it, they still want to talk about it. I think that's the thing about our show here, is that fact that we're not a show that is always talking about stuff up to date. We're just talking about stuff that's gaming to us. And we talk about games we are playing lately. Even they could be games that are 5 years old. We are 5 years behind of this game release. But who cares? We just talk about our experience of the game and we move on. That's why we have different segments like we're doing here. Jaron, are you still a day one person in your own way? Or do you kind of in my field? Okay.
It depends. So let me use a few examples. Final Fantasy VII Remake came out last April, right? Mm-hmm. I was all over that day one. I started that day one-ish, day one or the weekend. I had it beat within, a week or two. Because Final Fantasy VII, the Final Fantasy VII is a significant RPG to me because that was one of the major RPGs, one of the first main major RPGs that I got into and completed. So this it had special significance to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, take that in comparison with Red Dead Redemption 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. So I know I said last year, oh man, I'm getting that Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, it didn't happen day one. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 has been out, what, 3, 4 years, going on 4 years now?
Mm-hmm.
I just got it like last year, late last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it for like $30, $20-$30. And I enjoy it. It's a good game. I haven't played it in a little bit, but it's a good game. When I played it, I enjoyed it. Haven't started Ghost of Tsushima yet. Got that for like $20-$30. Mm-hmm. So like you're saying, it's day one stuff. I have to be super, super hyped for it. I have to be like ready to just lay it down for that game. Because that's $60.
You know, that's why I envy casual gamers or gamers that just started, because it's easy for them to pick up a game and play and go beyond that. Basically, I'm saying that they don't have a back catalog. They just play whatever's like, you know, up next. Unlike me, you know, I always had this issue of that, like, I want this game, it's cheap, I'll get it, I'll eventually get to it. And if I don't, then I don't. You know. But my cat is acting crazy.
It's okay. He wants in on the conversation too.
I know, right? Right. He's my biggest change. He won't stop being annoying. No, but that is one of the biggest changes for me, is that, like, you know, just not a day one person anymore. And I kind of like people, you know, it's funny. I don't want to be a day one person, but I like people day one person because they look out for, weirdly enough, my interests. So when I look at reviews or people's gameplay and stuff, I can kind of judge and like, okay, I'm not missing out anything, or it's more of, okay, I will eventually get it. That looks good. That looks good. You know?
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than spending, you know, $60 and you're not liking it.
Exactly. Or $60, and I mean, some people are saying $60, I better get at least 50 hours out of that game or whatever like that. You know, that depends on what kind of price do you put on your time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what kind of price do you put on your time? Are you if I buy if $60 is spent, you better spend at least 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours. Mm-hmm. You know, it really depends. If that's one of the reasons why I don't really buy those action shooter games day one anymore. Like I used to, like the last one I did day one was I think either Battlefield 5 or The Division. But that's because I had people to play with, and that's a whole nother, you know, multiplayer is a whole nother topic. But it's one of those, if it's a shooter that's like a single player, like Gears of War or whatever, you know, you're not getting any more than, like, you know, 20 hours out of that. So are you really going to drop $60 on it, or are you going to wait for it to come down in price? Mm-hmm. You know, so it's essentially only games that I really, really, really anticipate and really want to play, I'll drop 60 on, or an RPG that I know I'm going to get some fun out of, like Fire Emblem. Got that day one because I like me some Fire Emblem. Three Houses, you know, that's where it goes to. Like, your time and money have become more intermingled as we've gotten older.
Yeah, you know, it's funny
because it's our money we're spending now.
Yeah, it's funny because I think also too, there's certain games, you know, they're going to probably be hard to find. So sometimes day one buys are safer that way. Yes. So for instance, like I did day one Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to get the special edition of it. But now it's hard to find, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, everybody bought it up because of the new Smash Brothers DLC.
Yeah. So some games are like it's mainly the most non-popular games. Like Xenoblade has a home, but it's not as popular as Final Fantasy. So you know that game's not going to have that many copies. So sometimes it's good to grab those kind of games, you know. Yeah. But some games, you know, they're going to be a hit. You'll find copies of them.
Yeah, yeah. It's you almost always grab RPGs and strategy and tactical stuff because usually that's a lower print.
Yeah. FYI for the people, Atlas games disappear very quickly. So if you see an Atlas game, be prepared to not find it like after a month. Because those are just hard to find sometimes. Physical. Digital, you might have a better chance. But physical,
yeah, I was about to say, if you have to have it physical, you either really love Atlas games or you're speculating to make some money later.
Yeah.
But you can always, that's the other thing, in the last, 10 years, you can also get these games digital. So for those people who day one, they don't want to go to the wait in line for the midnight release, or they don't want to wait and go to the store or anything like that, they'll go ahead and pre-order it digitally and have it preloaded and be ready to play.
Yeah.
I did that once. It's actually kind of fun, but
Yeah, but mostly on the norm. I'm just not a huge day one person anymore. So I think that's one of the biggest changes for me personally. But then again, I mean, I think when I was younger, the mindset of I can't buy too many video games, so I got to be careful which one I want to get and how much time I want to spend on that. So that being said, dedication is the next topic. So dedicated. Now we kind of went in and out with time, right? But dedication, right? Like how dedicated are you to finish a game on a normal basis, right? Like regardless, like if you enjoy the game or not, like how dedicated are you to like, I got to beat this game? And I honestly think I still kind of have that a little bit. And that's mainly RPGs. I think my dedication is more in the RPGs. Shooter games, multiplayer games and stuff like that, I don't have that much dedication to them, but RPGs, I like to see where it goes if it's not a bad RPG. You know what I mean? Like, I think out of all the genres, RPGs is the ones I dedicate myself to, and maybe open world games. I kind of want to see, but that has changed since Assassin's Creed, the recent one where I retired from not Valhalla. Sorry, I forgot that one came out. Odyssey. Where that's the game that made me retire from Assassin's Creed series because I just didn't like that open world and the level skill base they were doing. I just didn't like that. But yeah, I think out of everything that changed me is RPGs are still there for me. I have to dedicate because JRPGs have set me up for years that those games are long, and I want to see where it goes and the uniqueness and the ideas about that. Open world games, I think nowadays I could take them or leave them.
Yeah.
Right. What about you?
As far as dedication, well, I will say currently I have an unopened copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Valhalla sitting on my shelf. I have yet to crack into them. Okay. So I'm not quite where you are as far as as done, but because I intend to play them or at least try them. But as far as dedication, something I did last year and the year before, I did the challenge myself to beat one game a month.
Okay.
And
that's tough.
That's tough. Depending on the game you choose, it's tough. Or at the very least, average it out to 12 to 13 games a year. Uh-huh. Now, especially when I look on my shelf, my PlayStation 4 shelf, I decided to try and go alphabetical. So that meant I had to finish Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I did Last Guardian. I'm kind of jumping around now. Last Guardian, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Unity. I just couldn't finish. I said, okay, I'm taking a mulligan on that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's so the dedication. I have to challenge myself on some games because and that'll go into a later area of how hard do you play them or anything like that. But if it's an RPG, I'm sort of in the same boat as you. I have to finish it. I've taken a break from Final Fantasy 12, not because it's hard, but because actually it almost got so easy, it almost got boring to me.
Okay.
But
you're playing it wrong. Just kidding.
I must be. I've over leveled my characters to where almost nothing's a challenge now. But Final Fantasy 12. The last Final Fantasy game I played before 12 and 7 was 15. Still haven't beaten that yet. I have a bad habit, and Brandy's pointed this out. I have a bad habit of grinding hard in an RPG, getting pretty much to the final dungeon or the last boss, and just stopping. And just walking away. Getting burned down and walking away. Why I do that, I don't know. Probably because I grind so hard, so I just pounded at it so hard.
You got burned out. It feels like you burned yourself out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do kind of what you're doing and kind of palate cleanse in between RPGs or during an RPG. Like I'll play a little bit, I'll go play some other simple games, and I'll come back to the RPG, and I'll play some other simple games and come back to it. So dedication. It comes down to how much do I really want to beat this? How much do I want it? How much do I want to finish my vegetables before I get to the dessert?
I think I also have a problem personally dedicating myself to play games that everybody talks about so I can have my 2 cents. Like I was late to this Final Fantasy VII party, but I wanted to play it because everybody says such a great game. I needed to play it, and at that time I needed to play it so I can just feel what everybody was kind of feeling. But the bad part about it is, since I played it late, I didn't get that moment like everybody had when they first time played it at the time that it was made, right? So I had played like 9, 10, so going back to play that old battle system didn't click with me very well. So that was a tough call for me. But I'm happy that I played through it, Same thing with Chrono Trigger. Those are the type of games like I have to at least give them a try, I guess, more than like, do I have to beat it? I want to, but I at least want to get my hands on it so I can just say, at least I have played it so I can just, have something to say about it. Because I think one of the things when I did this podcast show, even the one before that, the Gamer Stand, I really was dedicated to try to be the most knowledgeable person. So when someone talks about a game, I at least have enough information to have a conversation with them instead of saying, no, I never played that. No, I never played this. And I feel like as a host, I need to at least have some acknowledgement of it. And
it's hard though.
It's hard. That's why I said like the most played ones. Like, I think it's bad to me personally if, say, our boy Michael Blanton, a.k.a. Metroid Mike, came on here and he talked about Chrono Trigger and he talked to me. He's like, have you played Chrono Trigger? I say no. And I see, I feel like as I was listening, I'm like, how do you haven't played Chrono Trigger before? It's just that mindset.
Yeah, I mean, especially being an 80s, like born in the early to mid 80s, Chrono Trigger came out 96. Like, there's almost no excuse.
Yeah.
To have even at least played the SNES.
And the fact that there's no excuse at the time because there were so many copies out, right?
Yeah.
If it was rare that it was only on Super Nintendo, nowhere else to find it, then I would let that slide. But since it's been done on PlayStation, it's on the DS, it's on computer, it's on phone, there is no excuse why I haven't touched that game yet. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. If you really wanted to play it, you have like 4 or 5 different avenues.
And the fact I have emulators. So like at the same time, like, there is no excuse why I have not at least gave this game at least 15 minutes of my time just to put my opinion out there. So I dedicate myself to do that. And I still do it to this day. Like I do want to play The Last of Us Part 2. I want to play Ghost of Tsushima. I want to have the conversation there, for better, for worse. I do want to be part of that conversation. But now I'm not in a rush. I'll get to it when I get to it. But at the same time, we haven't had anybody on the show that asked me, have I played this stuff or anything like that, to have that conversation. So, and that's the same thing with like Zelda. Like, I think it's weird that if I didn't play at least Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time, I feel like those are requirements to me personally.
Yeah. Those are the 2 games that are on everybody. That, followed closely by Majora's Mask, is all on everybody's lips when they talk about classic Zelda.
Right. And I feel like if I continue doing the show for a very long time, Breath of the Wild has to be in the conversation. They're like, you haven't played Breath of the Wild? You had a Switch and you never played it. Like, you have
a Wii U and you never played it?
Yeah. I'm just, now for listeners, I'm just talking as a host mentality. If you were a guest on the show, I don't expect you. If you say you haven't played it. I'm like, I don't expect that. But a host, I like to try to be knowledgeable so I can have that conversation with you and be entertaining for the listeners. So, yeah. I think I dedicate myself to that. It has slowed down a little bit. But I still do like trying to play games that are still like quiet. Except for Dragon Age. That can go away. I don't care about Dragon Age. Dragon Age can go away.
I have a love-hate with Dragon Age. I have a love-hate. I like...
Mainly EA games.
BioWare, KOTOR and Baldur's Gate and everything like that, that's cemented, and Mass Effect, that's cemented. It's like, oh, goodness, I love BioWare. I love BioWare. They put out stuff. They have such good stories. I like the first Dragon Age. It was a bit of a slog in certain parts, but I liked it. Dragon Age 2. It was okay. It felt a little too wham bam, thank you ma'am. Dragon Age Inquisition. I beat the main story. Going back and playing the DLC, I'm like, oh, okay, I think I'm burnt out.
That game was way too long than it should have been anyways.
Well, I mean, an RPG...
It's
it is an action RPG. Oh, Mass Effect?
It's longer than Mass Effect. Mass Effect's pretty long.
Yeah, Mass Effect's pretty long. Well, the first Mass Effect's pretty long, and it has certain slogs before it really gets to the story. And Dragon Age Inquisition, it gives you so many swerves before the real story starts.
The main difference, though, between the two was Mass Effect knew what they were doing as the gameplay. Dragon Age still had an identity crisis. It didn't know what it wanted to be. Each game is totally different than the last one. It was not connected anyway. So, Inquisition, it feels like it's trying to add the first and the second one together as something. Now, we don't even know what 4 is going to be, the newest one going to be. And I don't care. So...
Dragon Age, the first Dragon Age was meant to be played on the computer because the way it was designed. Second one, they were like, oh yeah, we got consoles. We got to play it on the console. So it was very actiony. And a little bit of Dragon Age Inquisition tried to strike that balance.
I think one thing I learned about myself is I have to know when I know that I don't have the time for it, to have that mentality. Like, you keep telling yourself, like, I can make time. I can do this. But sometimes you have to tell yourself, like, I can't make the time if I'm doing all this stuff. And one of the number one things was I was trying to learn how to dedicate myself to be a Twitch streamer, and I could not do it because I realized, like, I'm trying to do this podcast. I have a job. I'm trying to play video games. I'm working on other secret projects that I can't reveal right now. I don't have time to stream. I just don't. No matter how much I like to stream, but I just can't make that time anymore dedicated as everybody else. So it's weirdly enough, I kind of give credit for people that are dedicated to do that if they have a lot of responsibilities. If you don't have a lot of responsibilities, then it's like, hey, that's golden. That's gold for you. But for people that have families, they're trying to do with A, B, and C, kudos to them that they can keep that balance going and don't really care if they don't make money out of it. They're dedicated just to do it. I can't do that based on my stuff. As you can see, my commitment is trying to make this network something on top of, I feel like my passion and my love for stuff is in this realm, unlike streaming.
Yeah, no, I've tried the Twitch streaming off and on. Like I've had the stuff set up at least 2 or 3 times. I mean, I got the camera again. Camera is mostly for this podcast, but if I wanted to do Twitch streaming, I have the camera set up now. I got the system for it. If I wanted to just stream and play off the same box, I got the processing power for it. But I don't have the wherewithal to set a schedule and keep to that schedule by hook or by crook. I have a job that won't necessarily allow for that, depending on from week to week. Won't necessarily allow for that. I have interpersonal relationships that may not necessarily, they're mostly understanding, but it's still Twitch streaming is something you got to do like 3-4 hours a day, if you're trying to like really get a following.
Yeah.
I'm picking up other hobbies. I'm still woodworking. I'm trying to teach myself to play the drums. I got an electronic drum kit. Newsflash, by the way. I can't remember if I told you that or not, but I have an electronic drum kit. I'm trying to get.
By the way, I bought a drum kit. By the way, just letting you know. You heard it first. No, I'm just doing you. I'm doing you. Like, by the way, I bought something. Day one for you and the listeners. By the way, here you go.
It's a music instrument.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm trying to do things, especially during this pandemic. Now that I'm not saying it's coming to an end, but we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, with this pandemic. So I could come out and say more than I stayed at home, stayed alive, and played a bunch of video games, which is great. I'm cool with that too. But I also want to say, okay, well, I use my time to do some of this and some of that as well. So
yeah, I think that's the thing too. Is like I rather use my time for something else that means more to me than just streaming. And I'm only speaking for myself. So that's not no shot at like the Twitch network or people. It's just for my time personally. I know I want to use my time for something else that I think I would enjoy more than streaming. Let alone, I think with age, it's hard for me to watch people play games because I just want to be part of it.
Yeah. I can only tell you how many times I almost lost my mind watching people play the second and especially the third Resident Evil remake games, and I wanted to just shake them and say, "That's not how you dodge that zombie." It's like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go play the game and play it.
Yeah. It's almost either I come back and watch it later, like when they're done streaming, I'll watch the video of it, or I have to have it in the background and I'm not really paying attention, just so I could give the people up support. Like, hey, I have it here. At least you're getting a number up in some shape or form. Maybe I need to start doing that. But yeah, it's tough. Now I enjoy being a guest on people's streams, like my friend Bree. Like I enjoy being on her stream and being a guest on there. That's fun because I don't have to worry about anything. I'm just the talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoy being a guest on people's streams. Like my friend Bree, like I enjoy being on her stream and being a guest on there. That's fun because I don't have to worry about anything. I'm just the talent. You know what I mean? You know,
you just show up, make laughs.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
leave.
I'm just the guest, and I enjoyed that. Then trying to occupy. Okay, I got to play, but also connect with the crowd too, and all that stuff. Yeah, no, I could just have fun. You know,
you got to play. You got to check in the chat every like 5 minutes to see if someone said something and then respond.
Yeah,
yeah. It's tough work. Like even when I was streaming Tekken. I would get like 3 or 4 people in. They would say some stuff, and I would talk back. But I'm not a showman while I'm playing a video game. When I play a video game, I go into focus mode.
Mm-hmm.
I go into focus, like I am focusing on this, and that can just wait. So maybe I'd be a better Let's Player. Who knows?
I think I'd be better as a partner with somebody. Like if one person's playing the game and then I'm the entertainment or something like that. Like I'm the one reading the notes and having the conversation. You know, based on what I'm doing now, except you be playing a game. You know, and then we just have a conversation. I'm better probably at that. Because I'll probably be laser focused too playing a game. And I'm like, oh, people exist. Hang on. I'm like,
exactly.
20 lines behind.
That's just how we are.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I mean, time, it's funny. The whole overarching theme of this, changing, it comes to time and priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we prioritizing our money? Where are we prioritizing our time? Where are we prioritizing, our enjoyment with these games? Yeah. We're less likely to play games that are just frustrating us. Like everybody talks about Dark Souls. I couldn't give 2 shits about Dark Souls because I know it's difficult. Everybody's like, oh, it's Nintendo hard. It's like, no, it's not. Nintendo hard is also because Nintendo had glitches and rush job development. And it's not Nintendo hard. Dark Souls is hard and it's rewarding, but I don't have time to be punished for not knowing about this enemy's pattern. I don't have time for that.
It's good that I got to play that game years back when I had time.
Yeah.
It's hard now. Like you say, like I do want to play Sekiro, but I don't know if I have the time yet for that,
Yeah, I tried a little Sekiro and I was like, okay, ninjas, and it's from the people who did Tenchu, ninjas, and okay, that's right up my alley, right? Mm-hmm. I played it, I put in a good like handful of hours. I put it down. I haven't come back to it yet. I'll get back to it, but same with Bloodborne. I have Bloodborne like when it was for free on PS Plus. Everybody says, "Oh, it's fun. It's like a more action-y Dark Souls." Mm-hmm. No, last Dark Souls game I played was Demon Souls, and yeah.
And the same thing with Neo. I made time for Neo, and then I kind of got bored with it, and so.
Oh, everybody loves Neo and Neo 2. People won't shut up about those games.
Well, it's the only rival to like Dark Soulish, right? As of right now, popularity. So, with that also being said, here's the one thing I think we both agreed on, and I know there's still people out there, all you trophy hunters. I am not, and have never been, and still to this day, I am not a completionist. That has not changed. That's the one thing that has not changed about me. I am not dedicated to do everything. I wasn't like that when trophies didn't exist. I'm not that now. I don't have time. My goal when I play a game is to beat the game, but also do the side mission or whatever things I personally want to do. Not so much to do it so I can get that little doo-doo on the screen like that. If it happens because it's storyline, so be it. But other than that, I'm not hunting. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this a shooter game like get 5 headshots in a row or do that. I just don't have time for that. If I get it,
game on hard in less than 2 hours,
right? Or play it on like the one that gets me, and we'll add this to the blend. Playing it on all difficulties. I don't have time for that either. Okay, like to me, I used to play normal all the time. But now it's almost to the point where, like, when I replay games, I play them on easy because I just want to kind of relive the moment and enjoy it for what it is. And like, I already beat it on normal. I have nothing to prove. I proved it on normal. Now I can play it on any mode I want, and I'm going to play on easy because I just want to play it and beat it and just remember the good old times that I enjoyed and all that stuff. But as a completionist, no, Jaron, I don't have time. If you have a back catalog so big, you don't have time to be a completionist.
Exactly.
You need to get through your stuff. And
shout outs to guys like Gerard Khalil, the completionist on YouTube. That guy and his team doing basically completing a game a week or a game every other week is ridiculous.
But they got more people. That's good. But as a single person,
single person that is insane. I'll put it this way: you want to drive yourself insane? Try completing Final Fantasy X. All the crap you have to do and beat, and just the grinding and everything like that. Or those games where you have to do all of that on normal, and then you have to do all of it again on hard just to unlock a different ending. You know, the only time I will trophy hunt is if it's unlocking like pretty cool in-game reward type stuff. Like going back to like Resident Evil 2, the remake. It had like beat the game on this difficulty and under this amount of time, and you unlock, you know, the rocket launcher. I was like, all right, cool. That'd be fun to go through the game and just like, oh, zombie, rocket launcher. You know, that I will maybe set aside some time. And if you play it right, you would literally are only dedicating like about an hour and a half to beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff that's like, hey, go through this and get like Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft Collectathon games. Collect all 130 notes that float through the air or whatever, and then beat this game. It's like, no. Or play this game online and kill this many people online. No, I don't want to. No.
It worked in the 64 era when there was so many collectathon games. But that easily burned you out when you play like Assassin's Creed and you're playing a bigger open world. You're like, great, more stuff. You know?
Yeah.
But I will say that to me personally, trophies and achievements are not important. But they are important to some other gamers. So I do give credit to achievement and trophies as a good motivation tool for people to do more stuff than they normally did. And for bragging rights.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, imagine if they had achievements back when, you know, we were kids playing Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. You know, it would have been bragging rights. It would have given you an actual proper mile marker to see if you've enjoyed a game to the fullest.
I love that you said Nintendo, because to this day Nintendo still haven't bought into that, right? So, you know, it's funny. Yeah. So
yeah. I mean, that's probably good because they don't have to.
No.
They're like, they try and focus on the fun. They really
But
do.
here's the thing though. This is funny. Out of my friends list, except for one person, because he has kids and that's how he gets his trophy points up high, I have the highest points, stars, whatever, trophies, whatever, out of my group. But that's the reason why is they might have more trophies in one game. I play more games.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So I get a lot more I get more trophies in more games that I play, and they can equal that out by just being a completionist, and they could probably pass me. But I just play more games than them, and that's the reason why my trophy's up high. So
I only have like a couple of platinum trophies on PlayStation.
I only platinum one game, and it was like I think Wolf Among Us or something, like the easiest game ever.
Yeah. Oh, if you want the easiest game ever, you should get I Am Mayo.
I will not do that, but thank you.
Just tap on a jar of mayo like several thousand times. Boom, trophy.
Ain't worth it.
Yeah, but yeah, the other game I have platinum in was Spider-Man, and that could be a collectathon, but the way it did it was so fun. It didn't feel like a collectathon because you had so much fun web swinging around and doing stuff. It didn't feel like a collectathon,
and you got some information out of it. Yeah, you got some interesting information instead of like hooray, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like I collected all these things. Cool, I unlocked a new costume, new powers, and a trophy.
So here's a tough one. I think this is a tough one for all gamers that grew up with the video games at their time, especially collectors. Because I think we all are in this box. Replayability. How often do you go back and play games that you have beaten?
Woo.
That's a tough question, right? Like some people have games to keep it for, you know, sentimental value. It brings some memory, you know. But how often do you actually go back and replay those games? If I had to do my pie chart of a percentage, I honestly probably say 15% as of right now.
Oh, man.
It'll probably be maybe 1, maybe 2 a year, maybe, that I go back and play. And I'm not counting remasters coming out. That's not counting.
Oh, that doesn't count. Okay.
No, because that gives you a reason to replay it, because they put it back on and they give you a different edition of it. Talk about games that really never never really got attention anymore to you. But if you want to say that, go ahead. But I'm just saying, for instance, like let's say the remaster of Final Fantasy X come out. When will you go back and play it? You know what I mean? But since they put a new fresh coat of paint on, it's a little bit different. Final Fantasy 12. I have never played Final Fantasy 12 since on the PS2 years ago. And then that remaster came out. Then I decided to replay it because it put it out there for me. But if it didn't, I'd probably never go back and play that. So that's why I'm like kind of not counting remasters, because that kind of gives that mentality. Oh, I'll go back and play it now because they fixed some things, they did this. But we're talking about like old school, right? Like when's the last time you went back to play? Now, people say I have my game that I play every year. That could be Chrono Trigger, could be all that. I don't care. But just on average, to you, Jaron, how often do you think you go back and replay games?
Oh man, it depends. Game like Chrono Trigger, I replay it every few years.
Okay.
A game like Lunar, Silver Star Story Complete, I will play it like every handful of years.
Okay.
It's a bit of a longer game. Like Chrono Trigger, you could blast through in like 8 hours, 10 hours tops. It probably less if you're just, going through. But a lot of the games that I will go back and play will either be RPGs or games like Burnout or SSX. I'll go back and play it for those moments. Those feelings of, oh man, yeah, I remember how it is to snowboard and have fun doing it, or anything like that. So it depends. Like if it's a game that really had an effect on me, I will play it once every year, maybe once every 2 years. So I know we talked about Sega Genesis, especially Sega Genesis games a lot. I will occasionally go back through, especially if there's a new way to play it. Either a remaster or the Genesis Mini. I'll replay some of those games periodically.
Honestly, and this is the truth, I at least play some old Mario or Sonic game every year in some shape or form.
Yep.
Like this year already, I was replaying Sonic CD.
I Sonic 3 and Knuckles here. So I would play Sonic 3 and Knuckles because I was playing Sonic Mania, and it's like, oh, I'd like to try some of the old Sonic. Mario Brothers, because like I was trying Mario 1, 2, and 3 and World. And, of course, then the 3D All-Stars came out, and I was like, okay, let me try Mario 64. Aged hard. But but yeah, there certain classics, funny enough, I have yet to go back and replay a Zelda game. Like I go back and replay.
You were really big on the Zelda bus in the first place, anyways, right? You were never on that big bus.
I didn't really get on the Zelda bus until Ocarina of Time. Now I did play the original NES Legend of Zelda and a little bit of Zelda 2, and I didn't like Zelda 2. Mm-hmm. But I never played Link to the Past until my full adulthood.
Okay.
I played Ocarina of Time when it came out, and I beat it. And I played Wind Waker, kind of. Played Twilight Princess, kind of. Beat Skyward Sword. How the hell does that happen? But yeah, I'm weird about it. I'm very like hop, skip, and jump with Zelda. I'm open to playing the other ones. I finally went back and beat the original NES one, but I'm very weird about Zelda.
It is interesting. I think that's why some of the shows I've created gives me a chance to go back and replay those or give them a try, like our cabinet sessions. It gives me a chance to go back and replay those games in some shape or form to remember for what they are, or even try new ones and see if they're worth replaying again.
Or throw back and chill.
Yeah.
Throw back and relax.
Yeah, it kind of forces us to go back and like replay those. Because I feel like that if I replay those, I want to replay them for a reason now. So if I connect it to a show or something like that, it's like, okay, this is my reason. Because now I can go out and talk about it and what my experience was from then and there, and whatnot. Hell, even my favorite RPG game of all time, I don't play it every year, Skies Arcadia. I play that maybe every other year, That's
an investment. That's a time investment.
Yeah, and, but if a remaster came out, I'd be playing it like in a heartbeat. Like, let's go.
I think that's going to be a day one for you.
Probably, sadly enough. Digitally. Yep. Either way, if they're physical, I do it. As long as Limit Run doesn't do it. But, I will dedicate to do that. So yeah, replayability. I will say, I think I'm in the 15%. I give people credit that dedicate to stick with the old for a while until you're ready. But there's some games that just age well, and it's like, I want to come back, but it ain't worth that struggle.
Yeah, quality of life counts for a lot.
Yeah, and that goes on with ongoing games, right? Like that's something that's kind of replayable because you continue on. I can't do ongoing games. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to dedicate for hours on end for ongoing games like that, like Destiny, Division. I've been, our age, mine, maybe you're on my bus too, is more like we're used to just getting in and getting out. You know, I can't wait for newer DLC and do this. This gets old. It gets boring for me. I gotta move on.
Yeah, I'm impressed with people who constantly hop back or revisit games like Division, Division 2. Like there are a number of guys that play Division 2 still. That there are a number of guys that play Ghost Recon Breakpoint still. And it's like, okay, that's impressive. I like playing those games, and especially the games that you play with a group of people because you can have some fun, talk and everything. But here's the thing. We all have stuff going on. We're not going to be playing for hours on end every night. That's like, for me, once or twice a week for a few hours. And it's like, all right, well, I got to go eat. It's like that meme. It's like, I'm going to head out,
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with like GTA 5, GTA Online. There are people who are playing that every day, stacking up the money, doing heists and stuff. That's cool. I'm like you. I'm very in and out. It's like, man, I just want to get in, do this crazy mission, have a fun story to think about, and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have to be careful to not associate that with a short attention span. That's not the case. For a while I worried, it's like, is my attention span getting shorter because I just want to get in and get out? It's like, no, I can pay attention on a game if it really engages me. I can pay attention. It's just,
if you have a short attention span, you wouldn't beat the game, right? That's my logic of it.
Yeah. Well, don't ask Brandy about that with Final Fantasy, but with other games, I will beat it. I almost rarely leave a game unfinished. It's just I'm making moves. I'm making money moves. I'm like a dude on Wall Street. I'm making money moves, man.
Yeah. And on top of that, multiplayer, right? Like, I don't really play as much multiplayer in general nowadays. I've been playing a lot of just kind of go solo or co-op. I have, like the shows I do with you and my buddy Jaron, and a show I'm doing with Bree, I have a friend playing with me, but I don't really do a giant group of people that much anymore because I think now that's kind of part of the streaming network, and the community for that is more for the multiplayer. Like my buddies, they're trying to get back in the Battlefield, and I'm like, cool. But I'm too busy, so I'm like not dedicated to that. And I think before that, multiplayer has slowed down to me because I think at one point I was becoming myself too toxic when it comes to multiplayer games, where like I feel like that maybe I feel like I was giving people threats, or I get too upset of a loss too much. Me personally, like I'm losing my mind if I lose and stuff like that. And it's funny. You don't get it until you see people do it to get that reflection of you. It's almost like if someone tell you you're very argumentative, you say, no, I'm not. And then you meet that person that's super argumentative. You're like, wow, is that what I am to people? I got to stop doing that, And I feel like that the multiplayer world has become so toxic in that way that more like, you know what? I'm going to step back. I realize that, I don't want to be that person anymore. So I now just play for fun, and I'm not trying to rank up. I'm not trying to have the best weapon. I just go out there and just have a good time of what I want to accomplish and do.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, competing is not bad or anything. I still think I'm competitive in some shape or form. I do want to win a match if it is possible, but I'm not walking away saying, I'm going to get you next time. Don't go to sleep. I know where you live. I'm going to SWAT you. Which, shame on everybody at SWAT. That is a terrible thing. Don't ever do that.
Well, there's a reason why a lot of the competitive gaming, especially these days, you see, it's the young bloods game. You see kids in their mid to late teens and early to mid 20s that are the biggest because, one, they have the most amount of time to dedicate to it, to honing their craft. Two, they have plenty of energy, And three, this makes me sound like an old man, but they have more of that piss and vinegar for that competitive spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm similar. I don't play a lot of competitive games. The most competitive I really ever got in a multiplayer game, not counting fighting game, was PUBG, and that was a couple of years ago. I would love to. now I'm like, if I play PUBG, it's only if I'm playing with like 2 or 3 other friends, and we're just landing, going getting stuff, shooting stuff, having fun, just screwing around. Instead of getting we have to get that chicken dinner every time. I just want to get in and screw around. Fighting games, that's a different story with me. I'm still fairly competitive with that.
I think have to be in a fighting game, right? Because it's you on the line and you only. You're not relying on a team, and you're not and you're not the weakest. It's you. You represent you, right? So that's a little different. So yeah.
Well, yeah. And fighting games, the only person who can really beat you is you. Yeah. And that's the thing. And so every time I do turn on a fighting game and play competitively, like I was playing earlier before we started up the podcast, I started off playing, I was like, okay, I'll play a couple people, and I would win, I would lose, and I had to keep in mind. I was like, just have fun. All right, try this, have fun. Just screw around, not even going to ranked, and I had fun, and it was like, okay, I'm good. I'm satisfied. I've kept up my skills, and yeah. But as far as competition, I'm not going to say people have gotten more toxic, because I still remember the days of late '90s Counter-Strike and Team Fortress and Deathmatch and stuff like that, and then Xbox Live. How there's so many jokes about people who remember Xbox Live, and how if you were on Xbox Live and playing Halo or whatever, you were guaranteed you were getting called some type of racial slur at least once a game. So it's just that we have Twitch, we have streaming, we have recording, so we're just seeing more of it. I mean, it's always been toxic. It's just now being filmed, or being recorded.
So before I bring out the last topic, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a little pre-close. So for everybody, thank you so much for definitely listening to this episode. I would still love to hear your comments on the YouTube page. While you're there, go ahead and help us out by subscribing and enjoy all our other great content that we have on there. And, let us know what are things that you would change as a gamer if you were, kind of grew up in that time, and if you're new, and you went back to play old games. What is your thoughts about playing those old games? Has that changed you to go back and play old games better than new games? Love to hear your thoughts on there. And of course, you can always talk to us on Facebook and Twitter. On Twitter, we're at Program In. You can always message me there. Follow us. That'd be great. Hopeful. Remember, if you want to talk to me personally, I am RetroAm07, as Jaron is.
I am at the Grumpy Bear 84.
And on Twitter too, there's a link tree. So if you want to find all the other sites and other listening spots, that's a good place to start. And it will link you to all our other listening spots that we would love to hear you there. So the last topic, this is the one I think I don't want to say it's the important one, but I think it's something that definitely us as gamers, and that's collecting. So I think, funny enough, right? Collecting is definitely a big change for us, because we have been on this show back and forth, and I have talked to friends of the collection, physical versus digital, all that stuff. And I will have to admit that my collection has definitely slowed down, and I'm okay with that. I think now I go after games that I care about only, not just because. Hopefully not. I'm hoping I'm not the concept. And if I don't want it anymore, I'm not afraid to get rid of it. Like, I want to sell it. Just move on. Like, am I really going to come back to these games? No. Why am I trying to sell myself that I'm going to go back to these games? I'll go buy them digital and save more room than keeping this stuff. Like, what you see on this shelf here, to me, is basically my collection. And it is small compared to if you're in Oklahoma and you meet the Retro Game Society, that this puts compared to them is shameful, right? And I'm happy with this collection, because I'm one of those people, like, I'll buy some games, and I'm not afraid to get rid of games to buy something else that I think might be worth in my collection later. But digital, I'm fine with digital too in its own aspect if it's on a good sale. But did I give up collecting physical? Not necessarily when it comes to newer games. When older games, those are tough, because my mindset is, this game really worth me paying over $100 just to see if I like this game or not? Compared to people, they want it because they just want it.
Yeah,
mainly
they
bragging.
want it and they can afford it.
Yeah, or brag about it. Shout out to Stephen Hawking, not Stephen Hawking, Hawkeye, whatever his name is. Hawking? What's his name? Hawkey. Shout out to Hawkey. Sorry I messed up your name, man. I call him the Collector because that's a guy that has collected every console, maybe doubles of each, has all these games. I'm not dedicated like that because I know damn well I'm not going to go back to this. This is just taking up room. But to him, it can be sentimental value to him. It doesn't matter. Who am I to tell him what he cannot collect? But for me personally, collecting has slowed down for me a lot. Where I pick and choose what I think is worth to be in my collection and what not. If it's not, you're going to finish stock. You're going somewhere out of my house because I just don't want you there anymore. And right now in my living room, I have a stack of games that need to go. And that's why, like, now back to our thing about time. If I play this game and it's not worth my time, you're going in that collection. You're getting shipped off somewhere.
Yeah, so, actually, I still need to pay and buy a couple of those PSP games off of you.
Yeah, I even told him on this. I told him before a long time ago. I was like, "Do you want this copy?" And he's like, "No, man, I'll buy it from you." But I was going to give it to you for free. Here, take it, man. Like,
I'm weird. It's like let me give you some money or something.
Yeah, that's how much. And the funny part is, it's Lunar. But I know he's more of a fan than I am. I love him, but he loves it more. So I'm like, dude, you would enjoy this better than me. I already played and beat it, and I have a digital copy of it anyway, so it's not the end of the world for me. And I think that's another thing too. I have a digital copy. I don't care about. I can get rid of the physical. It's no problem and all that. Jaron, you have a bigger collection than me, hands down. But I know that you have been having a little bit of struggle with yourself. So what about you?
Well, let's see. It's funny, when I got into the collecting, I didn't even realize, oh man, you can collect games, or else I probably would have had even more massive collection back in the late 2000s and early 2010s, because that's back when I had nothing but disposable income and it was just me, so I could just drop money left and right. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But I got into it hardcore about almost 6 years ago ish, maybe. And it was by finding an old NES at a pawn shop. And then the bug hit me. I was like, ooh, I got to go find these NES carts. Oh, Super Nintendo. Let me go find these Super Nintendo. Oh, let me buy this massive lot. Oh, I got this N64. Oh man, I could go buy my old Sega Genesis stuff. Nobody cares about Sega Genesis at the time. Mm-hmm. So let me buy these Sega Genesis carts and everything like that. Sega CD. Yeah, let me do that. And it just, and then I got Brandy into it, and she was like, "Wait, I could go back and get old GameCube games I used to play, and old N64 games I used to play." Yeah, I know that's the fact that we can say old GameCube games. Some people that's new to them, but yeah. So, but in the last year and a half to 2 years, it's slowed to like pretty much a stop. I have not really bought any retro games unless I see like a ridiculously good price and something I'm curious about, or I'm looking like lists of games that flew under the radar, like, crap. I almost wish I had the shelves in front of me. I could just look. But, for example, Stubbs the Zombie, and I don't really try and find a lot of that with the RGS anymore, but shout out to them. A lot of those guys have helped me a lot finding stuff like Pikmin 2 and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm now at the point, or I've been at the point where I am chopping, if my collection is my hand, I'm chopping fingers off bit by bit. I'm keeping the fingers I like. Mm-hmm. I sold Chrono Trigger a week or two ago. I sold my copy of Chrono Trigger that I've had for a couple years. I sold it to a guy, and he was really, really hyped about getting it. I was like, all right, here you go. Send it off to him. I'm about to list up a whole bunch of other stuff. Silent Hill. I don't care about Silent Hill. I have it. So I could take that money and put it towards other hobbies, so yeah, I'm at the point where it's like, you know what? I'm willing to pretty much half my NES collection, get rid of about a quarter of my Super Nintendo games. I can't touch any of the GameCube games. That's mostly Brandy's. Same with N64, same with et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And And as I went up in generations, like from N64, PlayStation 2, I started refining more and more what I put in there. Like PlayStation 2, it's almost nothing but games I've played and I loved, or games I've always wanted to play and never had the chance to.
I think the reason why, too, is slowed down for me personally is because the games that I care about somehow come back in some shape or form. Like the Sega Mega Collection. Like, all the Sega games you grew up are going to probably be in there. You're probably good with that. Some shape or form, they come back. And that's where it's tough for, like, why do I want to keep this if I can just get this now in this collection or all that stuff. I think back in the day, retro game was important because you just never know if these games were ever going to make a return in some shape or form. But we are now seeing in this generation slowly that they are finding some shape or form to either continue the series of an old classic or remastering it in some shape or form, right?
Stubbs a Zombie. I never thought Stubbs a Zombie would get remastered.
No one thought of that, right?
Yeah, I never thought it. And it's a hard game to track down on the original Xbox.
And then there's some games out there you thought they were going to get remastered eventually, but didn't. Hence, we talk about Xenosaga. You would think by now that we would get some shape or form of those return, but we don't. We don't know what the licensing issue is with Nintendo. Does Namco own that? I don't know. It's so tough now.
Skies of Arcadia. You would think, Sega would be going to that well, cashing it in.
Yeah, with like Jet Set Radio. We saw Jet Set Radio get a remastered a while back, but no future. And now no Skies of Arcadia. Like
what we're seeing more is Sega isn't really just letting other companies do it for them anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
No. But I'm right there with you. It's like, and that's also the other thing that's kind of spurred me on. The Mario 3D All-Stars. I'm getting rid of my GameCube copy of Super Mario Sunshine. I cleared it with the misses. Mm-hmm. But yeah, getting rid of that. Why? It's remastered. It's on the Switch. Why do I need the GameCube copy?
Yeah. With that being said, I think we're both in an agreement that collection has definitely slowed down, and it feels like with newer games now, digital seems like the best way to go so far.
Yeah. I mean, we're curating. It's not like we're done collecting. We're curating our stuff a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Especially if the rumors, of course, we talked about earlier of the PSN, that's the place to start collecting now and there.
Yes.
Digitally before you have to find a rare. Like Suikoden is pretty expensive. So I'm glad I got those cheap on the store so I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
Now we were going to talk about another segment, but we just don't have the time. So I think, Jaron, if you're cool with it, we'll dedicate it in the next recording episode. And we'll talk about changes in the publishers. Because we just don't have much time. We're hitting past an hour and 30. So,
yeah, I understand. You always leave them wanting more anyway.
Yeah, so on our next episode, we'll go ahead and talk about the changes that we think about publishers. And we won't tell you what our picks are, but it'll be an interesting conversation. And so, once again, thank you so much, and we will catch you on our next stage. Stage clear. Let's go.
New high score. New high score.